Thank you all so much for joining today. My name is Hannah Knox. I work in product marketing for the IBI portfolio, and I'm so excited to talk to you guys today about WebFOCUS 9.3. On this session, we have Angie Hildak. She is the Senior Manager of WebFOCUS Product Management, and we have Krish Makaj. She works with the DSML features in WebFOCUS and is a Senior Product Manager here at IBI. We also will have a session from Sachin Sanchetti on the new ReportCaster tool today as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Just a couple of resources and updates before we start, and wanted to mention that the chat is open for you to chat with any of the hosts or panelists today, and you can enter any questions in the Q&A feature. We'll either answer them via the Q&A chat or we will answer them live later on during the session. So feel free to use both of those. Next week, early next week, you can expect a recording of the session to be sent to you and any other registrant, whether or not they made it to the event. And after you exit the session, you'll have a redirect to a survey. Please let us know your thoughts on today's session and what you'd like to see more of in the future. Here's our standard confidentiality and disclaimer, and just some information about IBI. And as you guys have all seen, and as you know from being here, WebFOCUS 9.3 is now available. We're super excited about this. We have a great blog on WebFOCUS 9.3, what to expect in this release, from our VP of the IBI portfolio, Vijay Raman. You can check that out on our website. It's also been blasted across our social media channels. If you haven't already read it, go and check that out. It's a great resource. We also have new demos for WebFOCUS 9.3 that you can check out as you listen to today's sessions. And if there's a feature that particularly interests you, we probably have a demo for it. Go to our YouTube page and check it out. Porter Thorndike has put together 3 demos that are really great on our new features, and you can expect to see more. Also coming up soon surrounding the WebFOCUS 9.3 launch, we have a very special joint webinar with Dresner Advisory Services that'll go into Howard Dresner's latest research on the enterprise analytics and visual analytics and business intelligence tools. You can come check that out on May 8th from 11:30 to 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. So if you haven't already registered for that event, definitely go and do so after this session. As always, you can find all of our newest event information on our website at ibi.com/events. If you are ready to get your hands on an IBI WebFOCUS 9.3 environment, join us on the Summit Roadshow. Our next stop is Arlington, Virginia, and we will be using the WebFOCUS 9.3 cloud environment to conduct our hands-on labs. I have a very quick preview video of the Summit event from our Boston event that just happened last week. I was at that event. Angie was at that event. It was a lot of fun. We had a great time getting to connect with customers, and I wanted to just give you a quick preview of what to expect at our next event. Yeah, so if you haven't already registered for Arlington, go do that today. We still have some spots available. We're very excited to get to come to you and show you the latest and greatest with WebFOCUS 9.3. We have product-led breakout sessions. We have hands-on labs. The expert room is open where you can bring your laptop and show your deployment to a IBI product expert and get feedback on any roadblocks you're hitting, or if there are new features that you wanted to explore and you're just trying to figure out how to implement those in your deployment. This is your moment. You can come and get face-to-face hands-on training with IBI product experts. Go ahead and register now on our website at ibi.com/events. As I mentioned, our next stop is Arlington, but we do have two other events beyond Arlington scheduled for this year. We'll be in Chicago on August 6th and in New York City on October 8th. So check it out on our website, and we hope to see you there. Just as a reminder, we did launch our new website earlier this year / at the end of December. We have fantastic product information, customer stories, information about events, access to our product documentation site and support, and basically anything that you're looking for. So data sheets, all of that. There's also access to our new customer community that you can get directly from our website. The URL for our community is community.ibi.com. This is an IBI only community. It's very exciting. We have quite a number of posts in the community already, actually over 10,000 posts. And we've seen very active participation both from IBI internally and our customer base. So if you aren't already there, go ahead and get active in our community and see what we have to offer there. You'll be able to network with other IBI users, but also get training and information on specific IBI features and tools within our products. So again, if you haven't already registered, or if you're looking to get more information, go there. As many of you already know, as I've mentioned on this call a couple times, you can register for any of our events on ibi.com/events. We keep a very full plate of events virtually and now in person too with these Summit Roadshow events. And if you're not already signed up for our newsletter, you can do so by going to our Contact Us page. Please follow us on social. We share demo videos and blog posts and other little pieces of information about the IBI product portfolio that if you aren't seeing, you should be seeing because it's exciting. So go follow us on LinkedIn, on Twitter, check out our YouTube channel to get more information. You'll see a lot of content coming out about WebFOCUS 9.3 throughout the next couple of months. So go ahead and follow us there. After the presentation today, you will again get sent to a link that will let you fill out a survey, giving back feedback on today's session, and you can let us know what you'd like to see in the next session. And again, just wanted to reiterate, you will get a recording of this session sometime next week. So if you registered for the session, regardless of whether or not you were able to attend, you will get that link to the recording. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand this off to Angie. Thank you all so much.
So Hannah, before you go, there was one question that came into our chat of, I don't see the Chicago Roadshow on the events page.
Yes. So Chicago and New York City will both be opening registration later this year. So think like summertime, we'll be opening registration there. So we do have a mention of it. If you go to our homepage, you'll see there's a whole call out for the Summit Roadshow series, and there's information on that landing page for Summit. But the registration for Chicago has not opened yet. It will be opening soon though. I think probably June, July.
Awesome. And then my other request is if you have questions, please put them into the Q&A because that will allow us to answer them and everyone else can see the question then as well. Happy to answer things through the chat as well, but sharing with everyone else, it's easier to do in the Q&A. So yeah, if you can put them into the Q&A, I appreciate it. All right, let me get my screen shared. While I'm sharing, there's a question of other cities, Atlanta or anything else in the Southeast.
We would love to expand to other cities. Right now, we just have those dates listed. But if we see great attendance at these events, which we did in Boston was a fantastic turnout. And if we continue to see that at Arlington and Chicago and New York, we definitely will be expanding to other cities. But also feel free to send me an email. My email address is hannah.knox@cloud.com. I'll send it out after this session. But if you have a specific city that you're requesting, if you aren't able to make it to the others, let me know and we'll start tracking that and seeing where the demand is.
Thanks. All right. I will get into it. Feel free to keep putting your questions in the Q&A. We will try to answer some of them as we go. Some of them we may hold till the end, but yeah, definitely put in any of your questions that you have. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so just a quick agenda to go over. At a high level, introducing release 9.3. It came out this week, so if you have not seen it on the e-delivery page yet, go take a look. I will be covering sort of a summary of the features there, and then we're going to do more detailed views into each of the product areas. So cloud and containerization, the hub. Sachin has a session for us for ReportCaster plus a short demo, and then Karishma is here today for our DSML capabilities plus a demo. And then it'll come back to me and I'll go over everyone's favorite part is Designer, and then a couple of other small updates for Data Migrator and Focus. Okay, so WebFOCUS 9.3. Before I get into the actual features overall, I just wanted to do a quick recap of our themes that we have. You've seen these themes across the entire 9.x release series overall, and we're going to continue with them. First up on that list is the cloud and containerization, where the trend in the industry right now is moving into either hosted cloud environments or at least containerized environments that have some of that dynamic scaling to handle different loads on the system overall. We're keeping up with that as best we can, introducing a couple of new features and trying to make life easier for you if you are switching into one of those cloud or containerized environments. Integrated data science is, I'd say, the hottest trend in technology right now, bringing in some of the AI, data science, machine learning functions, capabilities into analytics overall. Karishma is here to talk about all of that, though, so I'm just going to let her do that a little bit later. Our unified authoring tool, you've heard us talk a lot about Designer over the last couple of years in the Release 9 series. We're continuing with that trend. Some big updates into Designer, and especially helping with that transition from our older authoring tools like InfoAssist and App Studio and bringing that content into Designer. And last is tailored usability. This one's kind of the catch-all for everything else. Things like our major UI updates that we've been doing with the WebFOCUS Hub. With release 9.3, the major UI update we did was with the ReportCaster functionality. And we have a video from Sachin that's going to go over that in more detail. And then other just quality of life enhancements as well in this category, things that to make it a little bit easier to do certain things or a little bit more intuitive of where do I go to do those things. Okay. So what are the features in 9.3? How do those themes correspond to actual features? So in the cloud and containerization bucket that we have, the big thing here is that we are going to be shipping pre-built containerized environments, starting with release 9.3. So in the past, if you were using the WebFOCUS Container Edition, it was essentially a script that you had to work with and run to generate your container image overall. But now we're trying to make that process simpler, and so we're shipping the pre-built container image. There may still be tweaks that you need to do unique for your environment, but it'll at least be a great starting point for you. We've also, if you are using that containerized deployment overall and have multiple instances of your different components, like the reporting server or so on, we streamlined some of the log collecting for that. And so if you're working with support and support says, hey, send me the logs from this issue that you're having, now it's much easier to gather up all of those things. And then I mentioned as well, we're trying to make it easy for those of you who are moving to these cloud and container edition environments overall. And so we're introducing a migration utility to analyze what is in your environment so that you know, get a list back of the things that would have to change and update when you go to a new environment. And then also an export of that as well. So we built this originally for people who are coming from an on-prem environment and moving to a cloud environment, but really it works between any two environments. And so if you are moving from one piece of hardware at your site to a different piece of hardware at your site, and maybe the machine names are changing and other setup and configuration overall, you can use the same utility between those environments, on-prem to on-prem. So in the data science area, we are introducing the visualization output for natural language queries, and also being able to change the view of that output between a couple of different chart types. Also, you still have that tabular format, report format as well. In insights, our instant insights, we're a big performance improvement in this area overall, introducing the asynchronous running of insights, where I can go say, or I can say, go generate my insights. I don't have to sit there and wait for it to come back. I can go do something else and then take a look once they're ready. And also with that is being able to remember my insights. So I don't have to regenerate them every single time I want to look at them. I can, especially if I'm looking at maybe historical data in terms of like data from last month or data from even 2 days ago. I don't have to regenerate those insights every time. I can look at them after they've been generated once. Then over in Designer, a couple of big updates in this area. So the first one is a new UI canvas for creating and editing designer portals. And so this one's really exciting because it sort of completes our creation of canvases for the entire authoring process, all the way from creating my charts and reports to pages and now into portals as well. Also, I think this may be, we'll get some feedback from you guys in the Q&A and chat, but being able to open my InfoAssist charts and reports directly in Designer and continue editing those pieces of content in Designer moving forward. So we turned on this functionality that's sort of the culmination of all of the gap work that we've been doing across the 9X series of releases overall. Also in Designer is a lot of new UI, I guess, toggles or ways to get to certain settings overall, including the set commands. So those of you who are familiar with Focus language and use those set commands to change different configurations in your charts and reports, that UI is now available in Designer. And then multi-layer maps, some new icons there, the ability to do drill downs, and yeah, just there's a lot more in Designer as well. I will cover some of it after we hear from Sachin and Karishma, but even more than that, in May, we're going to do a Designer deep dive. So in May, you'll get all of this stuff in much more detail. All right, last bucket. And to me, the top one here is possibly my favorite feature of this release is the redesign of the ReportCaster tool overall. And so a complete overhaul of the UI. It opens up directly in the hub. I can interact with it directly with all my files that are in the hub views. We also improved some of the workflows as well for creating distribution lists and access lists, modifying schedules. Again, here is continuity between old content and new tools. So all of your existing schedules will open up in this new UI as well. And then other sort of quality of life things in the performance area as well is for the SQL adapters. We did some improvements for new SQL functions that can be passed directly to the database as well, helps improve some of that performance. And we also introduced the merge and upsert functionality for several adapters too. And then the last one is the compound layouts for Excel output. This one was for a very long time our most requested feature. So I'm very excited that we're able to finally give it to you in the product and have it be available to you. So this functionality is being able to put multiple charts and reports on the same sheet or the same tab of an Excel output, Excel spreadsheet. So very excited for that one. And yeah, let me go into some more detail of some of these. Before I do that, so just a heads up to everyone, with WebFOCUS 9.3, we introduced licenses. So those of you who've been using WebFOCUS for years can remember that with the earlier 8.x releases, and even before that, we had license keys that were in the product. We are introducing license keys overall. We started last year with introducing them for IBI Focus as the product on mainframe, and now we're doing it with WebFOCUS. Eventually, this will apply to all of the IBI products. Getting your license is very easy through the support team, and the entire support team is set up and equipped to be able to distribute those licenses overall. And then trying to make it easy for all of you, it's going to be the exact same license file that you use across all of your WebFOCUS installations overall, and also Data Migrator installation and Open Data Hub for mainframe installation. And so it's just going to be one license file that applies to all of those. And so you don't have to worry about, like, does this key match this host name, or does this one apply to Windows and a different one to Linux? It's not going to matter. It's going to be the same across all of those. Okay. Let me just take a peek at the Q&A and see if there's any questions in here. Okay, there are a few coming in, but I think I'm going to end up talking about most of these during some of the other slides overall. So I'm going to hold on them for now, and we will come back to them. Okay. So the Cloud and Container Edition features. I did mention some of this already, but platform support, just kind of a reminder of which platforms we support overall: Kubernetes and Docker Compose, Orchestrion, Amazon EKS, Google, Microsoft, OpenShift. We also support hybrid cloud, where you can have one component in the cloud environment and then a different component on-prem. For example, if you want your WebFOCUS installation in the cloud, but all of your data still existing on-prem, A-OK, no issues. Easy to do overall. The auto scaling feature is one of the biggest reasons that people are moving to those cloud and containerized environments, providing cost savings overall, because I only use the resources extra when I need them. I don't have those resources turned on all the time. Faster deployment, being able to ship the pre-built container edition images will allow you to get into the container edition world and universe much quicker overall. It's a easier ramp up process into that. Security, these are the same that we've had in the past as well. No changes overall. And many more. So our health tool can do pre and post deployment checks. Feature parity, of course, everything that you have on-prem with WebFOCUS, you have in the cloud with WebFOCUS, same release cycle, also easy backup and restoration. And then the individual pieces of what's new. So I mentioned those pre-built container images already, and the new command collected logs is being able to collect a whole set of logs from all the places in your environment. We also started supporting the external repositories for Solr search. So your Solr instance can exist outside of the cloud and containerized environment overall. Also with integration with Grafana dashboards, and the WebFOCUS Container Edition using existing PVC, more flexibility there, more management of your resources. And over in the WebFOCUS Hub, I mentioned that migration utility that can be used for taking one installation of WebFOCUS and making it easy to get that over into a new installation of WebFOCUS, regardless of where those things exist. If they're on-prem in the cloud, doesn't matter. So the analyze aspect of this will provide information of things that may need to change when you move between these two environments. So think of things like, if I have hard-coded paths with host names in there, that host name may have to update into the new environment. I'm trying to think of some of the other examples. The host name is the biggest one. We also check for other hard-coded values overall, things like port numbers and other things like that. We're also providing an export utility to package up everything. And we're working on an import utility as well, but we're doing some more evaluation of that, of what level of import is needed, if just a script is enough, or if we need to do something a little bit more complex there. So stay tuned on that one. And then also in the hub, we improved our way of setting languages overall. So between the client and server, I used to have to set the language of those two pieces individually and separately. We decided that was annoying to have to remember to do it in two separate places. So we combined that into one setting overall. And then when you change that one setting, it will apply to both sets of, or both sides of things, both client side and server side. Okay, let me pause there and I will let Hannah share the short message from Sachin for going over ReportCaster.
Yes, sounds good. Let me get it pulled up quickly and go ahead and share my screen.
Let's see.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining in and apologies I couldn't join this session live. I am Sachin Sancheti, Principal Product Manager at IBI. I have been in this industry for about 14 years and with CSG and IBI for close to 8 years. At IBI, I take care of WebFOCUS Cloud and Container Edition and ReportCaster. Today in this session, I'll cover ReportCaster. So let's get started. Okay, so these are pretty standard slides, so I'll skip them. Today, I'm going to cover what is ReportCaster, what are its key features, and what's new in 9.3.0. I assume most of us know what is ReportCaster, so I'll just fly by these slides and try to spend more time on demo. So what is ReportCaster? Like designer or InfoAssist, ReportCaster is also one of the component of WebFOCUS business intelligence and analytics platform. ReportCaster has subtools like schedule, distribution list, access list, report library, and watch list. Using these subtools, users can automate scheduling and distribution of report and dashboard generated by WebFOCUS. So what are the key features? So as I said, using ReportCaster, customer can automate report distribution. So using schedule, customer can pick and choose report or dashboard they need to distribute. And then in recurrences, they can specify particular time or interval, such as daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly, when that report needs to be delivered. On delivery front, we have multiple options such as email, FTP, printer, and report library. We also have an interesting feature called bus report, where customer can break down report into different segments, and only particular segment can be delivered to particular user group or a designated stakeholders. Also, to configure and monitor this ReportCaster functionality, we have provided centralized management interface for admins. We call it as a ReportCaster console or a configuration, where admin can configure SMTP, FTP profiles or default settings. They can monitor distribution servers. They can analyze schedules using job logs or traces. So what's new in 9.3.0? So in 9.3.0, we have redesigned, modernized ReportCaster schedule, distribution list, and access list. We have improved user experience. We have made it more intuitive and user-friendly. Now this ReportCaster is integrated with Hub and can be initiated from the Hub in a dialog form. So let's talk about the enhanced functionalities of ReportCaster. On task and distribution front, now we view all of this task and distribution in a list view, and from the list view itself, users can enable, disable this task. They can duplicate, they can copy, they can drag and drop to rearrange. Also, for schedule type task, now we pre-populate the task parameter from the previous task, so that customer can visualize these parameters, and if they need, they can configure them as well. On recurrences front, we have more recurrences option, And we have started providing clear and easy to understand summary at the bottom, because at times recurrences could be tricky to read exactly what they have said, right? So this summary is very important. On log report, we have created 3 segments there. One is last executed, all, and custom date. So in log, last executed will show the recent log report. In all, we visualize, we show all the log reports. And in custom date, customer can pick and choose the time and date range for which they need to see the log reports. Also, we have started highlighting warning or error runs in a amber and red color respectively. Also, we provide copy download option so that users can share these reports with the user or teammates. We also allow them to view them in a different browser tab if they want to analyze in more details. For SMTP and FTP, once admin creates server configuration, we create profiles out of it. So when user is trying to create a schedule, we show this connection as a profile there, and customer can use this profile as is, or they can create a customized server configuration using this profile. Also, we have started providing test connection button so that customer can do the test connection while creating a schedule to avoid failures or error during the schedule run. Also, we have started supporting OAuth 2.0 along with password for SMTP. So there are tons of other features, but we'll cover them in a demo part. So let's start with demo. Okay, so before I start demo, I'll show you the demo file that I'm going to use for the schedule. So I have 2 variables. Here I can provide the country name, and from car, I can pick and choose the car type. Once submit, I get the report where I can see the model and dealer codes for them. Okay, so how I can initiate schedule, right? So earlier we had option to initiate schedule from here, but now we have moved that option to this plus icon. Here we have a dedicated ReportCaster section where from where I can create a schedule, distribution list, and access list. The other way is, right, I can right click and create schedule, and here I can see the distribution list. So if I click email, this is similar to the basic schedule, but here customer won't be able to add multiple tasks, and in distribution they'll be as I had selected email, I'll be able to select only or create only email distribution here. So we'll more focus on the advanced schedule where we have all the options available. So if you go to task, you can see 6 options here. Today I'll cover WebFOCUS report and WebFOCUS schedule. So in WebFOCUS report, I can pick and choose the report. So as I said, I'll select demo fix. So once selected, it will populate the server name. Here, depending upon the security type, I can play with the execution ID and password. I can make it a burst report. I can override the format. If I go to parameters, it will pre-populate the parameters. Here for country, I can provide the value. And if I select car, from drop down, I can clear the selection. I can select all. I can deselect. If I select this option, this task would be repeated for the individual values. So as I said, now you can view all the tasks in the list format. If I right click, I can duplicate. I can rearrange using drag and drop. I can enable or disable from here. If I select them, I can delete. Okay. For schedule, I have pre-created schedule, so I'll use that. So in case of this, if I go to parameters, now we list down all the tasks from that particular schedule. So for task, I have 2 variables, and it will be pre-populated again. On a distribution front, we have 5 types. So for email, if I go to edit from here, I have a configure LDAP. So from here, I can add the email. So I'll search with my surname. So it will pre-populate the list. I can select and I can add it to the particular field. So we have for email addresses, we have started supporting a cheap format or a tag format so that it is more readable and it is more manageable. Similarly, in options, a customer can configure the server information. So in the configuration for email distribution, I have 3 profiles. So this is my default, and along with that default, I have 2 profile password and OAuth. So you can see in dropdown, I can see default and password and OAuth. So if I select password, I won't be able to change any information, but I can do the test connection. If at all customer wants to use this profile and customize it further, they can go to customize mail server. Here in dropdown, it will show you all the list of mail servers. Currently, I have just one, so it will list down one. But then if customer can pick and choose that mail server, they can select the information or the configuration of their choice. They can add account name, password, and again do the test connection. Similarly, for FTP, we have option customize and profile. In customize, you can for profile you can do test connection. If you go to customize FTP, you can again make the changes and do the test connection. In case of recurrences, I said we have multiple options. If you go to every, we have tons of option here. If you go to month, we have added this new option, number of days before the month end. So as you can see, it's a complex, right? So we have started providing summary at the bottom. So this schedule will run every 1 month, 1 day before the month, starting from April 15 till December 31st. And this schedule will report every 10 minutes until 8:10 a.m. GMT. In case of properties, we have club properties and notification section. Otherwise, the feature remains the same as existing. Excuse me. And log report, as I said, we have 3 sections. I'll cover this in the other schedule. So I have this RC demo already pre-created. I'll show you this. So if I had to run, I can run from here. We have multiple options: default traces, no traces, schedule trace, schedule and report traces. I'll just run with the default traces. So once executed, it will show me the job ID. I can click OK, or I can go to the log report directly. So if I go to log report, it will show me the latest run. So I can see it's a success. If I want to see the previous run, I can go to all. It will list down all the log reports. So as I said, it highlights error runs, like, and also if you want to do the custom, you can pick and choose the date and time range from here. And it will show you the only job reports or job logs from that particular time range. If you want to further analyze, you can download or you can expand in new browser tab and you can analyze from there. So this is about schedule. In distribution, I have used report library and email. In report library, I have used access list, and in email, I have used distribution list. So I'll show you now how to create an access list and report and distribution list. So again, we'll go to ReportCaster section and go to distribution list. So it will show you the splash screen. Here you can pick and choose method, email, FTP, or a printer. Here, if you after selection a particular distribution method, you'll have 2 options. Either you can import from a list, existing list. It supports .ftmm format. And if you want to add manually, you can click on add email. So here we have 2 options. Either you can create a new email. So here you have to provide a burst value and you have to provide an email address. So okay, if you want to add from the existing list, so here we show all the list of distribution list from the workspace. So you can pick and choose the distribution list of your choice. Once selected, it will show you all the members from that list, and from there you can add the member to the existing list. So I have Jaguar and Jensen created. Similarly, you can create an access list. So again, you can add members. So here also you have two options. You can add new members or you can pick and choose from the existing members. So again, I have an existing access list, so it will show that list, or you can select other access list. So from here, I'll select Jaguar member. And from new, I can select other member. And for that, I can provide burst value. And that's how I create an access list. I can save from here and that's it, done. So I have already created this, I have run this demo file. So I have this two report library, Jaguar and Jensen. So if I double click, it will show me the segmented report only for Jaguar. If I see the Jensen, it will show me the segmented report only for Jensen. And as I had used RC1 user, so if I go to that user, I'll see only Jaguar report library. So I have provided access to RC1 user only to Jaguar. So this is relevant reporting. So I guess with this, I have covered ReportCaster, most of the ReportCaster features that we have implemented in 9.3. Thanks for your time. Have a good day. Thank you.
Awesome. So I will cover a couple of the Q&A that has come in on ReportCaster before we switch over to Karishma. So some of the things in here, let's see. Are there any known compatibility issues with this newer version of ReportCaster and existing schedules? I'll say we don't know of any. You as customers always surprise me with how creative you are using our tools overall. We've done pretty extensive testing with our QA team, taking old schedules and opening them in the new UI, and any issues that we had, we've already resolved. So I'm pretty confident that you shouldn't have issues, but definitely let us know if you run into anything. There was a question, can you explain the difference between an access list and a distribution list? Yes, so an access list is tied to the report library, and the users that will be in that list are users who are defined in the WebFOCUS security area overall. Versus a distribution list is about which email addresses you are sending to and who is actually receiving an email list. So access list is going to be a list of users in your WebFOCUS security, the security and management center, and distribution list is going to be a list of emails. Will the 9.3 ReportCaster retain existing SFTP configurations? We have about 50 saved. Yes, absolutely. Everything that is existing in ReportCaster, we're not removing anything at all. And yeah, should all work in the new UIs as well. Are you still supporting dynamic distribution lists? Yes. So even those dynamic distribution lists, setting that up should all still be good to go. Let's see. In ReportCaster, is there still an option to schedule an alert? We are working on some of the UI still for the alert UI itself. But in the ReportCaster schedule options, when you, let's see, so the alert overall, you create your report and sort of figure out like which value you want to test on, right? And then from there, based on the value that's tested, it opens up a ReportCaster schedule and can send out information based on that value. So the ReportCaster half of that is all going to be updated in the new UI. Yes, options still exist there. No, like I said, no loss of functionality at all. Just updating things. Okay. Let's see. Is the ReportCaster UI available from the classic view or only from the hub? It is available only from the hub. So I do want to make that clear for everyone. The new UIs are only available in the WebFOCUS hub. You will see them in a couple of other spots overall. And we are working on making sure that we've captured all the places of the UIs as well. But yeah, for the most part, you want to access it from the hub. And Let's see, there are others in here. They're a little bit longer, so I'm going to have to read through them. So I think I'm going to let Karishma start, and I'll try to type in some of the some of the answers to some of these as we go through as well. Karishma, over to you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Hello everyone. I'm Karishma Khadi. I'm the senior product manager at WebFOCUS, and I've been working on the data science and machine learning product area for almost 2 years now. And I'm very happy today to present two very exciting enhancements that we have done to natural language queries and to instant insights. So,
Yeah, Karishma, hold on 1 second. We're getting some comments that there's like an echo or some feedback on your sound overall.
Okay.
Can
You
you
may
maybe
need
just
to turn the volume down on your device, possibly.
Is it any better now?
still coming through a little bit duplicative?
I think I'll just probably rejoin, and if you want to take a few questions in the meanwhile, I think that minute is okay.
Sure. Yeah, I can definitely answer more questions. We have a bunch of them. All right. Let's see. So a question that came in was one option that would be nice for the recurrences is list out the next X occurrences based on the recurrence entries. So John, we did add that feature of kind of summarizing what the recurrence will be overall. But I think what I understand is maybe getting a list of like, okay, this schedule then is going to run next Monday at 9 a.m., next Wednesday at 9 a.m., and then the following Monday at 9 a.m., that list out. I think that's a good idea. I would say open up that new feature request with support on that so that we can track that and evaluate that with the team if that's something we can do. Let's see. Were there any significant changes to the repository database level, like the bot log tables, to make the ReportCaster UI work? No significant changes. So like I said, we've tried to keep sort of parity between old and new overall. There were a couple of small things where new values were introduced, but the tables themselves should not have changed. Will 9.3 ReportCaster be compatible with the older version? I'll say no. So, I mean, ReportCaster isn't separate from WebFOCUS at all anymore. So there won't be a way where you could use 9.3 ReportCaster with an old version of WebFOCUS. Okay, I'll take a break there. Karishma, go ahead, try again and see if the sound's good.
I don't know if it's any better.
Much better now. Great.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to start right away with the presentation. So two exciting enhancements, one for natural language queries, which is visualizations, and for instant insights, we have a couple. We have introduced asynchronous processing. So like Angie mentioned, you need not wait on your screen while insight generation is in progress. You can continue doing your task and you'll be notified once the insights generation process is complete and once the insights are ready to be viewed. We have also introduced a new tile view, which I'll show you in my demo shortly, and also certain filters. So let's start with instant insights first. So just hold on, I think there's some lag. Yeah. So in terms of asynchronous processing, instant insights were available only via Explore Data pop-up that we have in the hub area. Now you can generate insights even from the application directories. So if you're in the application directories, you can just right click on your data file and you'll see a new option there for generate insights. The moment you click on that, the asynchronous processing of insights starts. I'll show you in my demo how that actually works. Once the insight generation process is complete, you will be notified and you can see a status like the screenshot that you see here for the insights that have been generated, for the ones that are in progress, and you also get a CTA here which says generated insights, and you can just click on that to generate your asynchronous processing. Apart from that, the asynchronously generated insights stay for 30 days. So they do not expire for 30 days. So for the next 30 days, whenever you try to view insights on the same data file, you don't have to generate insights again. So that's time saving. And at any given point, if you feel that you need to generate insights again, you have an option to reanalyze, and that will just generate a fresh set of insights for you on a fresh set of sample data. Moving on, we've introduced a tile view. So previously, we just had a list view, which was like an accordion view. You could view only one insight at a time. Now you can view at least 4 in a given view. So like you see in the screenshot, you have a tile view here. And additionally, we've introduced filters. So these filters are based on the column names. So at a given point, if there are 100 insights generated, it's not feasible for the user to go through each insight one by one and try to find out insights which are of value to them. So you can filter the insights that you see by the field name. So for example, if you're interested only in, say, for example, sales or region as the column names, you can just select those in the filters. The moment you click apply, you'll see insights only related to the field names that you have selected. Before we move on to NLQ, I will first show you the demo for Instant Insights. So say you're in the hub area, and you can just navigate, browse through any of the data file. You can just right click here, and you see this new option called Get Insights. The moment you click on Get Insights, if there are no fact tables associated with the data that you have generated insights on, you'll just get this panel, and you can, so this was pretty fast because it's a smaller data set, but even if you close, the insight generation process keeps going on, and you get notified with a toaster message saying that your insights have been generated, like this on the screen. Now, in case you miss this toaster message, you can get to the insight generation status panel from this tool icon here. You'll see view insight generation status. The moment you click here, you'll get a page like this where you'll see all your insight generation tickets that are in progress. You can see what their status is. Are they ready to be viewed? You can refresh the status to get the latest list of statuses. And in here, you can either delete this from the queue, or you can click here to view on it, or you can even regenerate insights. So let me take you to one of the panels on how the insight generation updates look like. So say, for example, I want to view insights for this particular data source. I can click here and I can get the results right here. All right. So the new view that we have introduced is the tile view. You can see multiple insights in one go. You can click here to load more. And say, for example, if you have to filter out from this list of insights, you can click here and you'll see all the list of field names that are available on the data that you have selected. So say, for example, I want to filter by $sales. I click apply. Now I see the insight that is only relevant to $sales. Now I don't see any other insights. That's easier to shortlist from a huge list of insights whenever they get generated. So that was about insights. A quick view on how the insight updates look in Designer. So in Designer as well, you get the switch between the list view and the tile view. You'll have an option to reanalyze, and you'll also have an option to filter by field names, like these. So that's about it for the insight generation status and the asynchronous processing, the tile view, and the filters. Moving on to NLQ. In NLQ, we've introduced visualizations. That means whenever you type in a query like these, by default, you would get only the tabular format of the results. Well, now we recommend a bar chart or a line chart. So if the question that you have asked, the response to is better suitable in a bar chart format, the engine will automatically identify that the results have to be shown in a bar chart format, and you might get a bar chart here. But if you do not get a bar chart, you additionally have a chart switcher here where you can switch between 4 different chart types for now, which is vertical stacked bar, you have the horizontal bar, you have the line chart, and the area chart. So say, for example, I click to the line chart here. I can get a visualization of the same results in a line chart format or in the horizontal bar chart format. And I can save this to workspace, open it up in Designer, and edit it further, or use it in a consumable report format. So this is the enhancement that we have done for NLQ in terms of visualizations, and we are working on adding more different chart types as visualizations here as well. So yes, that's pretty much my demo for the Instant Insights and for NLQ. If there are any questions, we're happy to answer.
Yeah, there's actually one question that came in asking about the difference between the insight status view and the deferred report status view. So if you
so the insight status report view will show you only the instant insight deferred tickets that are there.
Yeah, and I think to add to that as well, there's no changes to that deferred reporting UI at all. Insights is going to be similar, where it kind of runs in the background and then you can go view the status, but they are separate.
Yeah.
There's a question, does the system make a guess if the user does not use the exact column name in the question, related more to NLQ?
Yes, it does. So when you start typing in the text box, you'll see that there is a drop down. So based on what you're typing, say for example, you're trying to type in product category, the moment you start typing in, you'll see a drop down which will give you suggestions of what your column names are. And you can just select from there instead of having to type the entire exact column name.
Okay. And a question that came in, is there a specific natural language generator that we should use? But we, Karishma, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have our own that comes with WebFOCUS.
Yes.
We don't need an outside one.
Yes, you won't need an external natural language generator.
That might be it for now. Let's say if there's more, we can take a look. But yeah.
Yeah.
In terms
Okay.
of the Q&A. Yep. Okay.
Great. Thank you, so much, Karishma. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, Angie?
No, I think that is it for now. I'm overwhelmed with the number of questions that are coming in, is why I'm so quiet.
Well, I think it may end up being something where you have to answer some of them after the fact. We will work on getting back to you all on some of these. I also wanted to just quickly share. I know that we talked a lot about the new designer features in WebFOCUS 9.3, but we do have a special user group session that is going to cover all that's new in WebFOCUS 9.3. And I'm actually going to go ahead and drop the registration link in this chat so that you guys have it. And please let me know if you have any questions about that session. We're really excited to share all that's new in Designer with you. And again, I'm actually also going to share just one more time, the link to our registration for Summit, because I know that there's been a lot of excitement about that just in the chat with us panelists. And as always, if you have any questions after the fact, feel free to reach out to us. Also in the chat, we've had several requests for the recording of this session. You will get it sometime next week. And if you have a friend or coworker who you know registered for the session but didn't get the chance to attend, don't worry. They will also get that recording. And as always, you can view recordings of our events on the resources page on ibi.com or on our YouTube channel directly. So, yeah.
All right. I do have a couple more slides to share from my side. I will kind of briefly go over some of the designer highlights, but like Hannah mentioned, we are doing a designer deep dive next month for our virtual user group. So please attend that one. The presenters that we have on that session will be able to go into much more detail overall. So yeah, let me just cover really quickly a couple of the things in here. So I mentioned a new UI editor for designer portals overall, a new canvas. It's a drag and drop canvas and a WYSIWYG canvas essentially. So what I'm seeing as I'm creating it is what I'll see at runtime as well. I can add content whenever I'm pulling content in. I have a choice of whether I want to have a copy of that moved into the portals area, or if I want to just reference it, leave it in its original location and just reference it there. One thing that is a change from the rest of our designer UIs is that the portal canvas will auto-save as you are going along. So as you're creating your portal, any updates that you're making in this canvas will take effect in that portal automatically. Of course, you always have the option to not publish your portal right away. You can work on it in an unpublished state, so no one else will see it until you're ready. But yeah, just keep in mind that the portal will be auto saving. And then last as well, as you're pulling all this content into the portal, whether that's pages or direct charts and maps and things, we do offer workflows to get back to those items individually as well. You won't be able, say if you pulled a map into the portal, you won't be able to edit that map directly in this UI, but if you just right click on it, there will be an option to say edit, and then it'll open that tool for you where you can go edit that and then come back to the portal editor afterwards. So authoring content, a lot of other updates here as well. So in our compound documents, the compose mode that we have, you can now coordinate the content of those, so synced up filters and sorting of that. Also new heading and footing options in that compose mode, and now also being able to author charts and reports directly in that document. So earlier releases, I could only add those charts and reports that had been saved elsewhere in my environment. But with 9.3, I can create new content directly in there. I don't have to have it saved externally. And by externally, I just mean somewhere else in the repository, still in WebFOCUS. Moving into the creation of charts and reports, I mentioned that set command UI. So there's a screenshot of that over on the right-hand side. That list that you're seeing there is not the entire list, but we did try to choose the set commands that either were available in the older tools or the ones that had been requested a lot that weren't available in the older tools before. We also added the options for table of contents, pages on demand, and accordion reports. The UI output of these, when you turn them on, is no change from what you had before, but we do surface those options now in Designer. And then also some new output format options, especially for XML. If you're wanting to use that XML output in Designer pages, you can create that directly now. And then that Excel compound report, being able to put multiple pieces of content into the same page or tab or sheet of an Excel spreadsheet overall. I can add images, Excel tables. I can still use Excel templates as well. And that's one of the new output format options as well, is Excel templates. It can be positioned the way I want. And coordinated. So if you're doing a ReportCaster bursting on an Excel output, then you'll have that apply across the different charts and components as well. So we are introducing this through the language first. Like I said earlier, it was the most requested feature that we had overall across all of WebFOCUS. So we're trying to get it to you as quickly as possible. We are working on a new canvas for it that will help with the uniquely Excel grid layout overall. And so look for that in the future, that's available in the code already. And then geoanalytics, I mentioned the new icons. Alex on our team is from Maine and a big fan of lobster. And so he was able on this map to change that icon that's uniquely for Maine into a little lobster there. And then a couple of other updates in the multi-layer maps overall. Drill down options are now available. And then also support for themes. So some of the themes that you're using across WebFOCUS will now apply through to the multi-layer maps. Okay, not done yet. We still have more. So data migrator and adapters. I would say the biggest feature in this category overall is some updates to the merge and upsert functionality across our adapters. So being able to take bulk action to merge sets of data, or do that combination of update insert. Update if the record exists already, or insert if it does not. The list of adapters there, so whether we use merge or upsert depends on which adapter we're going to. Functionality is the same, just calls a little bit differently and has the internal functions a little bit differently. We also have statistics on that merge functionality. Over on the left-hand side, I did this backwards, but we added new support for additional SQL functions, date part, replace token. There's several others as well. This helps with the performance. So now some of these functions can pass directly to the database and have the function applied before the result set comes back to us on WebFOCUS. And then also the no SSE privilege, being able to turn off direct editing of SQL statements for certain users is a new privilege that's available on the reporting server side. And then last is performance improvements across all of the data migrator, adapters, reporting server, that whole universe. Data retrieval, defix processing, and then the Google BigQuery adapter, both reducing the memory that is used there and also a new compression setting as well for that. And then IBI focus. I'd say look forward to some big announcements in the focus area later this year, but I do want to cover a couple small things that we added in release 9.3 specifically. And so in 9.3 specifically, we added a lot of new functionality, conditional inner joins, an update to the regular expressions, new functions for date truncations, timestamps, date parts. A lot of options overall. I'll say Walter and Greg and some of the others who are more involved on the focus side can explain all this better than I can. So look forward to some of their calls coming up and sessions coming up in the future. And then if you want demos of any of this as well, we can schedule time for that too. And questions. So I did still manage to leave, I think, 20 minutes. Hannah, check me on the time, but I'll try to go through as many of the questions that we have as I can.
Yeah, you still have a solid 19.
Awesome.
Go for it.
Okay. So I saw multiple questions come in about existing ReportCaster content and what I'll need to do with that content in 9.3. So I want to address that one. So all of your existing schedules, the most that you're going to have to do in 9.3 to use the new UI is right click on that schedule and say open. If you don't need to edit it, you don't have to touch a thing at all. So we've paid a lot of attention to making sure that all of your existing content will still work and still function in the new UIs, and making sure that everything doesn't require extra steps, no extra migration utility to run, and yeah, nothing extra there. Okay, let's see. I'm still at over 30 questions, so I'm trying to scroll through them and pick out the ones that are Karishma, maybe this one is for you. Will it be possible to add graphs using another language like R as a standalone page? And I could probably take a stab at this as well.
Yeah.
Yes, I think your sound again is echoing. So let me try to answer this one. So we still have the RServe adapter where I can connect to an R environment overall and take output from that environment and then use it in WebFOCUS. So I'm gonna say probably to your question, Devram. And then if you're trying to use it and you need some help, I would just open up a ticket with support and they can get in contact with Karishma and we can look at the use case more.
Sure.
Okay. Is it possible to open all IA reports in Designer or are there any restrictions? So I'll say it is possible to open all of them in Designer. There are a few small pieces of functionality overall that we have not implemented in Designer yet. And so these are things that we found was either very low percentage of people using those features overall, or things that like headers and subheaders, for example, we want to take a little bit more time on to get you a good UI for using those. So if for some reason there is a functionality that was available in InfoAssist that you don't have the ability to edit that in Designer, you can still open that content in Designer. You just won't be able to edit that tiny section of what that thing is. So I'm trying to think of an example. I'm not coming up with a good example off the top of my head because like I said, most of it is that like very low percentage of people actually using these features. And so yeah, anything that you have in IA, you can open that content in Designer. And again, no extra steps to do that. You just right click on it and say open in Designer. You don't have to run a migration utility or anything like that. And then if for some reason Designer doesn't support that feature yet, we're not taking that thing away. It'll still exist in your output. You just won't be able to edit it yet. And we are tracking some of those things as well. But if you find some, just open up a ticket with support and we'll make sure that it's on our list. Will we have to recreate our existing schedules? No, like I said, you can just open up your existing schedules in the new UI. Let's see. Are there any updates on data flows? So overall, you'll hear us talk about data migrator and data flows. It's very similar functionality. I'll say that some of the performance improvements that I talked about, let me just go back to that slide on here. Some of these things will apply to the data flows as well. So you may see some improvements in that data flow area. But if you're seeing a particular issue or a particular slowdown, I'd say make sure we get a case open with support so we can track that use case and track down what is causing that slowdown. Okay, let's see. There's a question about embedding ReportCaster UI screens and the ability to white label around that. So I do want to talk about that briefly. So because we're surfacing that ReportCaster UI in the hub directly, any of the white labeling that you've set up for WebFOCUS in the WebFOCUS hub is going to apply to all of those ReportCaster screens as well. So if you've changed your colors of WebFOCUS, then that will all filter through to the new ReportCaster UI. We are looking at options for embedding the new UIs into other applications. Right now, there is dependency on the WebFOCUS hub, but yeah, we are looking into that for the future. Great. So Hannah, maybe this is a question you can help answer. So it's a question about, we're doing a lot of the virtual user groups. Will there be any in-person conferences in the future?
Yeah, so that would be our Summit Roadshow that we're having this year. We still have 3 more stops on the Summit Roadshow. We have a stop in Arlington on May 14th, then a stop in Chicago on August 6th, and finally a stop in New York City on October 8th. So if you'd like to come see us in person, come join us at one of those sessions. And if you have any questions about locations or requests for future locations, please feel free to ping me directly. I will drop my email address again in the chat. And I'm keeping a list of all the requested locations. But again, those are the 3 that we have scheduled for the rest of this year. I mentioned at the beginning of the call that we were actually in Boston last week seeing customers, and that was a really phenomenal event. So it was great to see all of you that came out in person, and we're looking forward to the next 3 events. Thank you, Angie.
Hannah, one more came in. Can you type in the chat the dates and locations?
Yes.
So I'll let you do that one. You
Yes,
can
I'm happy
reply to
do.
that, but yeah. Okay, let's see. Is there any way to get editable charts in Excel or interactive charts in Excel? 2 of you asked the question at the same time. So for that Excel compound or really just Excel output in general, having interactive or editable charts. We are looking into that overall. It's not with the release 9.3. And then I keep repeating this over and over, but I'd say make sure you have that new feature request with support open so that we can work on that communication and make sure that we're prioritizing everything as well. The more people ask for things, the higher it goes up on our list. Right. Let's see. So there was an earlier question about processing of business days. So if I want to run maybe every 3 business days, which ends up being sort of a dynamic recurrence in ReportCaster. And then we got another comment that came in that said, hey, we're kind of doing this with some of our pre-processing procedures overall. So what I'm going to suggest to you guys is go over to the IBI community, make a post over there saying, hey, I have this use case of doing every 3 business days in ReportCaster, and work with each other on that. I think it's great to one, have the question come in of can we do it, but then even better to have another one of you come in and say, yeah, we can do that. We're doing that already. So I definitely encouraging the community to get you guys connected so you can work on that. Okay. There were a couple of questions that came in as well about the ReportCaster REST calls or the web service calls. So we didn't change anything with those web service calls overall. So if you were using those web service calls to dynamically essentially talk directly to the database for creating ReportCaster schedules, updating things in those schedules, having them execute, all of those should still work. We only updated the UI overall. And so there shouldn't be any changes at all to the web service calls that you're using.
And I have one question I'd like to take. The question is, are there any plans to improve filters like single select and multi-select filters with filtered
Sorry,
values?
Karishma, it sounds like you're echoing again there. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, I think I'll just type in the answer, but if any one of you can hear me, it's on our roadmap and we're working on it.
Yeah, so let me just repeat it as well for in case anyone had issues with the echo. So the question was, are there plans to improve filters like single select and multi-select with filtered values? And so it's on the roadmap for sure. And Karishma's going to type more of an answer into the Q&A as well. Okay. Freeze top row and auto filtering enablement for XLSX were enabled in an earlier release of 9X. Yeah, so Mike, the earlier in, I think it was 9.1 release, we introduced Excel tables as an output format option. So it's a checkbox in Designer when you have the Excel output to say, I want to use an Excel table. And so what that does is create a native Microsoft object called an Excel table that has the headings over your rows, and then in those headings it has built-in filtering and sorting capabilities. So take a look, like if you go into our designer documentation is in the user guide of WebFOCUS and just do a search for Excel table, you should find that information. Are there any changes with interactions in Designer? No major changes for sure, Mark, but any that I'd say come to the May user group, and they're going to cover every single thing that was added in Designer. So that should better answer your question as well. Still have 7 more minutes, so I'll try to get through as many of these as I can. There's a couple of questions about migrating from an 8x release into 9.3 release. So I'll say if you're on 8207.28, there shouldn't be too many issues of just installing 9.3 and moving directly to 9.3. If you're on an earlier 8 release, we have the tech refresh program you can find on our website. I'd say get in touch with them and they can help evaluate like all the steps that are needed going from an earlier 8 release to 9. Let's see, there's a question again about ReportCaster. I'm so glad to see you guys excited about ReportCaster because it was my favorite of this release as well. Being able to do a schedule based on an accounting calendar. So one day before or after a period end. I'll say we definitely added options you saw from Sachin of being able to do an X number of days before the end of a month. So previously we actually only allowed the last day of month as our option. And so with this release, we started introducing if I want to send it 5 days before the end of the month, or even like 20 days or 28 days before the end of the month. I'm now getting to the beginning of the month, right? And so I'd say there's a couple of new options that may kind of solve that use case overall. But if it doesn't for some reason, my broken record statement is get that case open with support. They can submit it to us as the new feature request and we'll evaluate it further. Okay, and someone else is saying the accounting calendar is the pre-processing, post-processing procedure. So please, guys, go to the community, talk to each other. You clearly have all the answers for each other. So use that community and get those conversations started. There's a question about the schedule task button that's in App Studio. So App Studio HTML pages, we didn't do any updates to those for this release. And in general, you've heard us saying too that we're not doing new features into App Studio. We're bringing all that functionality into Designer instead. And so I'll double check with the team overall if that's going to open the existing ReportCaster interface, or if that opens if it opens the new ReportCaster interface, or if it's opening the old ReportCaster interface. I'll have to double check on that one. We can get back to you afterwards. Let's see.
Any more questions we want to answer live, Angie?
I'm down to 3 minutes left, so maybe I should stop here. We still have a lot of them. So I think Hannah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we can send out a follow-up and answer some of these questions in the follow-up as well.
Yes, we definitely can. And with so many questions, I think, left in the chat, I'd like to send that follow-up with the recording. So again, expect the follow-up and the recording at some point next week. So we'll need to get answers for these questions, and we'll get those to you. So thank you guys so much for coming out today. You all have been a wonderful crowd, very interactive. We've loved all the questions that we've received. And we're, again, so excited to be able to share WebFOCUS 9.3 with you. After you exit today's session, you will get a prompt to go to a survey. Please go ahead and fill that out. And as always, let us know if you have any questions. So thank you again. And here's to the future of IBI WebFOCUS.